And scene.
Okay, lovely. Great podcast. So happy to be here with you today. Oh, wait, no, we didn't start. That was my problem.
Shit.
No,
God damn
darn.
it. Oh, man.
Well, welcome to Hot Mess Moments, where things like that happen all the time.
Whoa, we're so quirky.
My name is Beth Dixon, also known as Augusta Wind 11 online, and I've never seen the show Lost before, so I'm watching it now with my good friend Dylan.
Oh, my name's Dylan Sainer, also known as 8-Bit Dylan. I'm a huge fan of Lost, but I've never seen The Nanny. But this is our Lost episode for this week. Yeah. Welcome on in, everyone, to Hot Mess Moments. We are going to be reviewing today Lost Season 2, Episode 8, Collision. And I'm sure you have lots of thoughts, because I definitely have thoughts. I forgot about this episode. I'm going to be honest. I completely forgot about this episode.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you as we get going, okay?
Yeah.
I had lunch with Tyler, and I said, we haven't recorded the episode yet, so I'm not going to get my full thoughts in here. And he said, oh, what episode was it? And I said, it was the Ana Lucia episode. And let me tell you, Beth is no longer any sort of fan of Ana Lucia. Like,
as you shouldn't be.
I have, like,
you definitely shouldn't be.
Especially with the 2021 lens of looking at cops.
Ooh.
Oh, girl.
I have thoughts about how little this does not age well, this episode.
This episode doesn't age well, but it doesn't age well because it's not supposed to age well.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Like, I think, like,
because of that, it's a good episode.
Yeah, like, I think, like, the goal of this episode was to make you hate Ana Lucia, and it successfully
does
that.
But before we get too far into this, we have some stuff to. First of all, I just had to run out. We were supposed to record this last night, and then we looked at each other and went, we're too tired. We even said in the Nanny episode, we're going to do a twofer tonight. We have aged over the past 2 months that we've started splitting episodes, and we don't have that kind of longevity anymore.
We really don't. It's really tough too, because we both work full-time jobs, so staying up late and getting up early is not easy.
And it doesn't seem like much, but the 1 hour difference between you and me is a lot sometimes. Like, where we can finish recording and I'll be like, we have to go till 1 a.m. And I just, like, I can't do it sometimes. And I'm so thankful for, like, you being like, why don't we cut? Like, last night I would have just sucked it up and kept going. And I'm thankful that you put your foot down, because I needed those 7 hours of sleep I was able to get.
Yeah, girl. I was like, no, let's just do this tomorrow. But yes, this I want to talk about a few things before we get into the episode.
Yeah.
First off, she's a voting woman. How was your voting experience?
This is my first time voting in New York City, and I'm very excited. Voting experience was very smooth. I was really nervous. I actually I've now voted in small town America for the most of my voting experience. My first time I ever voted, Dylan, was the 2008 presidential election, and I was in fucking London for it. So I didn't even get to vote in person. I did it via absentee, but it was pretty cool to see Barack Obama win the election and become the first Black president. And I did that while being very drunk at 4 a.m. in the London. UK. Like, we literally stayed up all night at our school, and like bought booze and drank and had unhealthy snacks, and then slept on the floor of our school. And then our professor woke us up at 8 a.m. and was like, it's time for class. And we're like, we're still drunk. We were up till 6 a.m. 2 hours ago celebrating, Andreas. You're going to have to calm down here a little bit.
Yeah, that's funny. You're like, I don't fucking know you.
And I'm going to say that I don't mean this to be divisive, but it will be. We partied even harder after all of, like, the conservative kids left. We were like, yeah, now they're out of here. Get out. Now it's like, everybody who's liberal, raise your hand.
Oh, totally. It was a big victory.
It was a huge victory.
Yeah, I was excited to vote today, and then stupidly realized I'm in Missouri. There is no election in
There's
Missouri
no election
today.
In Missouri. Interesting.
No, I looked it up.
There was I
was ready to prepare. They said there's no issues. There's nothing to vote on.
Wow.
Today,
we had 5 or 6 provisions to, some of them were New York State, some of them were New York City. There was one about clean air and water that I voted yes on. I voted yes on everything. There was one about increasing the jurisdiction of what the New York City courts can take, so up to $50,000 claims it can bring the court, which I kind of believe in bringing the lower courts down, allowing people to have access at lower courts.
Yeah.
So I voted yes on that. There was basically one about making it harder to redistrict, and I was like, yep. And then there was one, I mean, there was really good ones. I was like, yes, across the board. We had a lot of New York City officials to vote for. So this was a lot of, this is my first time. Like, this is kind of cool, because if I was up north, it'd be like, vote for the Board of Education. And it's like one candidate for
yeah, like, you're like, okay. I guess. I'll throw my support behind the one candidate we have.
I will say this is the first election where I haven't done my due diligence of voting and did just vote straight party, for the exception of when I was able to vote for liberal or socialism. And I was like, there we go.
Which
probably wouldn't happen in Missouri as much.
Definitely not. But it was really interesting. Last time I voted was
last year, I'm hoping.
Yeah, but I'm talking about local.
Oh.
I guess it was in California. I'm trying to remember which one. There was one where I voted ahead of time, where I like mailed in my ballot, and I loved that because I could like pull up a laptop and like do research as I was
That was
voting.
One of the other provisions was basically voting in New York State for same-day registration, where they're going to get rid of, you have to be registered up to 10 days beforehand. And I was like, you better work with that same-day registration. You should be able to walk into a voting booth, register, and vote. Sorry about it.
Yeah, it makes no sense why you couldn't.
You know what you can't is because the people who would be doing that are of a political party, that the Democrats, like statistically, I would love to know the psychology behind this, but statistically, it's because it's harder for people of color in particular because of redistricting and gerrymandering.
Yeah, it's so like very hard to get to a voting.
Exactly. So you also have to go through all of these hoops, and you have to have your ID and all that kind of stuff in various states. So the idea that you can't do that, to me, is like completely unpatriotic. So
totally.
I don't know. I don't mean to get too political.
We're in Beth America, and we're just living
used to it. I want people to vote.
I also want to talk about, because we didn't really get to talk about Halloween. Did you get to dress up for Halloween?
Okay, so I didn't.
How dare you, Beth?
Can I be honest? It's really difficult when you don't have Halloween plans, even if you're just streaming. Like, I'm not creative when it comes to costumes. So I dressed up for a Halloween stream that I did with my Level Up team members on Friday. And when I say I dressed up, I mean I threw on vaguely lesbian looking clothing. It became Mia from
I did
Dead
see
by
that
Daylight.
Photo. Yeah. I was like, it looks like you're about to go out to a bar, and
basically, I jokingly said this on Twitter, but this is legitimate. I went as an over anxious, over caffeinated millennial woman who plays board and video games with her friends to avoid the existential dread for a couple of hours.
Absolutely, and that's exactly who Nia is.
In Beth.
In Beth. My husband dressed up as a Squid Game guard, which was really cute.
That. Yeah.
And then I did a Red Hood cosplay. I was originally going to do a gender bent Wicked Witch.
Ooh, that would have been cool.
I think I'm going to save that for next year because I have the full costume for it. So
nice.
I have like the green paint and everything, but I decided because HBO Max sent me the cosplay of Red Hood, I should just wear it while I can fit in the outfit, because I could barely fit. I could barely squeeze into that jacket.
You better work.
Because it was like, I don't know why. It was a size large, but leather jackets are, I don't know.
Leather is notorious for being tight, and you have to go a size up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was tough. So I was like, well, I'm going to wear this while I can, because who knows where I'll be at next year.
100%.
But let's get into this episode because we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we sure do.
So we are going to cover now Lost Season 2, Episode 8, Collision.
And boy, was there a crash of emotions, mostly anger.
Yes.
From one Beth Dixon throughout this episode.
As there should be. This is absolutely one of those episodes. Oh my God, I'm yawning and it's midday. I'm so
Just
sorry.
gonna say, normally we yawn and we go, sorry guys, we're recording late. It is for you 5:40.
Getting old. No, but this
I missed dinner an hour ago at the Cracker Barrel.
Oh my God, did you really?
No, I was making fun of you. I was saying
excited.
I missed.
I got very excited.
Do you think the way I started that was almost my Valentino white bat? Sorry. No, I was saying that as a joke for you, but could you imagine if I lived in New York City and was eating fucking Cracker Barrel at 4:30 in the afternoon?
I'm like, you better work. Imagine being able to DoorDash Cracker Barrel in New York City.
You know what? I'm gonna look this up because there's gotta be one Cracker Barrel in New York City
somewhere.
I'm looking this up.
Okay.
Actually, it probably isn't. There's probably just it's called a country store. If there is, I'm going and I'm getting Pokemon cards. Putting it out there.
Oh, for those who don't know, Cracker Barrel sells Pokemon cards apparently.
Not the one in Fenton, Missouri, because I took all of them.
So we're gonna be discussing this episode today, and I think the goal of this episode, as I said earlier, is definitely to make you not like Ana Lucia. It is like the entire purpose of this is to paint Ana Lucia in a really shitty light. Wait, is there? What?
Guess where there's a Cracker Barrel in all of New York City?
Where you're from?
No.
Oh.
Not in
Wait,
Brooklyn.
Is it Long Island?
Close.
Oh.
No, it's Staten Island.
There's a fucking Cracker Barrel in Staten Island.
But you know what? I'm not convinced. Let me click on this because it says Cracker Barrel Deli. Oh, it's not even a real Cracker Barrel. It's a place called Cracker Barrel. You fucking idiots. Who would create a place called Cracker Barrel? Yeah, the closest one is in New Jersey.
Oh. That's still kind of close.
Sad. All right. Okay.
Could you imagine if there was a fucking Cracker Barrel in Staten Island, though?
Of all places, it would be there. And they'd be like all these Italian Americans being like, the sausage gravy's to die for.
Yeah, welcome to Cracker Barrel. Like,
oh my God. Be so good.
So I need to know, what are your thoughts on this episode? Your rating. There's only two real storylines. So when we break this down, we're going to be talking about the flashbacks and then like the main story. But tell me the tea, girl. Tell me the tea.
So I'm having a really hard time figuring out how I want to rate this.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of this is intentional. They don't want you to like this episode. So for that reasons, I want to give them points because it's successful. But on the other hand, I don't like the episode.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go halfway. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Because I think if I didn't, even if I was like purely, I took the bonus points out for that, I would still give it a 5 out of 10 because of pure emotion, right? So I'm going to give them the 2 bonus points for that and give it a 7 out of 10. The reason being, I do think that a lot of what they did was intentional. You're not supposed to like Ana Lucia. Once again, we finally get Calm Jack. I like Calm Jack.
He's so much better, like when he's calm.
The second anything looks like something's going down, he becomes like the most self-righteous asshole. Like it's just something that drives me crazy. So of course, at the very end, you get him like, "I'm gonna shoot people now," and it's just like, calm your
into the woods with my gun.
I never, ever, 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 ever want to hear a fucking man say women are too emotional for positions of leadership if they have not seen fucking Jack, okay?
Jack and Lost.
Jack and Lost,
ugly
who's
crying.
Like, oh my God, someone got me. I mean, let's be honest. There's like legitimate reasons why he's mad in this episode. Like, oh, someone shot Shannon and she died. Man, like, I mean, that's legit. But like, and they have Saeed. Like, but I just don't understand, like, as a doctor, how can you not have that cool? Also, where was this whole you count to 5 and then you just go into things? He ain't counting to 5 the second he got on this island.
I agree. He is very bad about stress management, as we've seen him not eat and not I think.
And then that's a trigger when he drinks. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think when he originally gave that advice to Kate, it was to combat fear. But we've seen that Jack doesn't even combat fear very well. And He just kind of jumps headfirst into things without thinking. So I'm going to go on the opposite. I like Calm Jack, but Calm Jack was kind of a sexist pig still in this
Jack
episode.
is super sexist.
Like
the second he's like, oh, a woman can't aim at golf?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, dude, you can't.
Yeah, and he fucking is so shit at it. So yeah, not a lot to like about Jack, but what are your overall thoughts though on, because you said that this episode, you think it was meant to make you hate this episode.
Yeah.
So just in general of this episode, how did you feel about it?
So just generally speaking, I mean, again, I'm looking at this through a 2021 lens. Now, police brutality and police officers being human and having emotions, not knowing how to handle it, that's nothing new. It's just that we are more hyper aware about it and more vocal about that kind of change now. Or at least, let me take a step back. Let me say white people are more vocal about it now, because people of color have been new, and they've been saying this for years and years and centuries and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
But it just drives me crazy, because you were set up from the beginning that Ana Lucia's character is returning back after an incident, that she's been in therapy. Her partner has left her, like her romantic partner.
Yeah.
She gets back on the force. She demands to be put on patrol, gets put in a safe neighborhood, immediately puts herself in like, let me go fix this domestic squabble, overreacts and pulls a gun out on somebody. And like, this is a prime example of like, what the fuck? Like, this is exactly what the issue is.
Yeah.
In like the fact, like, honestly, fully blaming her mother. Her mother should have been like, fuck no, you're not going out there.
Yeah. There's so many things to blame here. First off, all of her coworkers not realizing she has a problem. Like it is painfully obvious that this woman has an issue with guns. Like, you cannot trust Ana Lucia behind a firearm, because she reacts in a very strange way around firearms. It triggers some sort of emotions in her. It triggers PTSD. It triggers all these emotions from when she lost her child during the shooting, and she takes it out on other people to the point of murder. Like, it's not like
fully murders people. And then like, you can tell she has guilt about it, but she's not guilty for the right reasons. Like, that's what drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, dude, the self-righteous, this is the problem. This is a theme. Every person who is quote unquote conflicted or bad or a great character, their fault is self-righteousness. That is exactly what it is. Jack is self-righteous. Sawyer's self-righteous. Kate is self-righteous. Glock is self-righteous. Like, the list goes on, and we're just adding more to it. Now, I want to like actually contextualize everything that I'm going to say with like an addition to a theory that has been my theory for a long time.
Yeah.
I have thought that this island is like a purgatory.
Yeah.
This episode has strengthened that for me.
Yeah.
Especially with the line that we discussed a lot last week, where they were talking about how the others are taking the good people. Okay.
Yeah.
My thought process here is, we're supposed to think the others are evil, but really they're the people who are stuck in this purgatory that are good. And they're trying to take Walt because he's good, but Michael's not. And they're trying to take him away from these areas, leaving anybody who is not a good person to have to face whatever that is unresolved, like you would in a purgatory. Remember, purgatory is not heaven, it's not hell.
Yeah.
It's where you go to kind of settle and face whatever it is in order to pave the path to the afterlife you are meant for, based off of how you tackle these problems and issues, right? So I truly think that my addition here is that people who go with the others, though they're kidnapped and those kind of things, are meant to be, for the most part, good people. That doesn't mean that they're all good people, but I think that we're supposed to learn, the others are actually not bad people at the end of the day. Because look at how bad the good people, quote unquote, the main characters are, right?
Yeah.
And so I think this episode kind of strengthens that. And then you see things like couples like, or even let's take Shannon. Okay. I honestly think Shannon did resolve the thing that she was meant to, which was to figure out her self-righteousness, her self-entitlement. And she learns that through her relationship with Saeed, through looking for Walt, taking care of Walt's dog, managing her emotions about Boone's death and her guilt and all the things that she had to do. And like all of that manifests itself into the last episode that we have with her. And then she dies.
Yeah.
But like dying for her means that she goes on to whatever afterlife she's meant for now.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So would you say then Shannon's the best person? I'm kidding.
Hell no. I did not say that shit.
I'm just kidding. But I want to point out a fun.
I still think she went to hell.
Fuck that stupid bitch. Anyway.
I'm not gonna do Dante's Inferno this shit.
So I want to give a fun trivia piece. Back when this episode was like, because back in the day, you would get like the names of the episodes before they would air. And sometimes people would theorize based off of the names of the episodes. So because this one was called Collision, they wanted to and they didn't want to reveal that Ana Lucia was potentially part of this of the cast and like the tailies and all that kind of stuff. They decided to call this episode originally Old Habits. And they wanted this to be pretend that it was a Charlie-centric episode to make people think that Charlie's getting back into drug use and stuff like that. But instead, they were going to flip it as if it's Ana Lucia's old habit of shooting people. And so, thankfully, they decided to change the name to Collision, which makes
shooting people is not a habit.
Exactly.
It's not a habit.
But isn't that the dumbest little fact?
Her own ways, you know.
Oh no, there she goes again. Rascally old Ana Lucia just popping people off. But can I tell you?
Wow.
I guess we're just kind of talking about this episode in general, but like we'll get back into like more in-depth stuff. But can I just say how awkward it felt to see Ana Lucia, who was previously a cop, pointing a gun at Michael, a black man, in like a 2021 lens felt so wrong and so fucked up.
Pointing a gun at a black person, pointing a gun at an Arab person, like I'm just like, girl, like especially it goes back down to, you know, we for so long people were saying, well, we need to have our own representation on police force, people of color. It's still an issue because you're always going to be indoctrinated with a systemic system that is based off of white supremacy. So that is always going to be the issue, which is why we need to have conversations about, you know, I believe, now I'm saying this, understanding that this is divisive and I don't mean to be too political. This has turned into a political episode, but I truly do believe in defunding the police. And I don't mean about taking away their money. I'm talking about taking away responsibilities that other trained professionals should be responding to in crisis. We should have, you know, psychologists and such who are ready to go. We should have people who are, you know, social workers and services, drug counselors, people who are there who are trained and have studied to de-escalate situations and keep people out of harm's way. They can be there with the cops as far as I'm concerned, but we need to train police officers not to be gun heavy. And it's just, there's so many issues here. But like the whole point of this being is like, just because you are a person of color and just because you have a civic responsibility as a police officer, it's like it makes it harder, I think, for them, right? Because they have to represent their race in addition to being a cop that is entrenched in a system that is full of white supremacy. So totally. I don't sit here pretending like, oh, wow, this is great. Like we have someone who's like, you know, a person of color. Like I'm not trying to take it out on the person who has decided to become a cop, who's a person of color. I give them a lot of kudos for it. But it also just like, it's still super uncomfortable to see Ana Lucia, like you said, point that gun at Michael, point that gun at Saeed. It's just,
it definitely stirred up some feelings from a 2021 lens that I definitely didn't feel when I first watched this because there's so much more context behind it. But I want to get into now, like maybe talking about like the episodes themselves. So let's talk about the flashback since we're on the topic of Ana Lucia and what she's done. So did this change? I mean, it clearly did, but like, does this add more context to Ana Lucia in the present day from what we've seen so far in the show, based off of where we've seen where she's come from? Or is this shocking to you?
It's not shocking to me. This makes, if anything, I'm like, oh yeah, this clarifies why she's so fucking horrible as being a leader. Like it literally, again, like it's the only thing that it truly contextualizes for me is the protectiveness of the children. That's what it came down to, of like how protective she was of the kids. And like everything that she has is more because of the guilt of the children than it is for the adults that were taken. Like everything, her motivation is to find the kids. And that's why I can't get behind why she hasn't commented at all on Michael losing his son.
It's really weird, right?
It doesn't make sense.
I
don't care if the writers are trying to do this whole like, oh, she's blocking it up. No, that doesn't make sense for the character, the way that you were portraying her. Period. She should have said something. There's like multiple things that aren't adding up, and I don't understand what the writers are doing. It's not consistent. Like the fact that she asked if anybody was sick, and then that wasn't even a thing in the first 48 days, that made no sense. The fact that she's so overprotective of children, and like Michael is yelling that his child has been missing, and like she doesn't even go offer to help Michael. She's just like, yeah, go out into the jungle yourself. Like it's just not consistent with her character. I don't get it.
I'm wondering if it's just like a trust thing. She built trust and rapport with like those children, and so she has more of an onus to want to protect them, but it still is kind of weird.
But clearly she felt that way in the split second that the guy was holding a TV arguing with the woman who's holding a baby. Yeah. She was like, I'm going to shoot him. I'm like, what the fuck?
I will say I do have to give props to her co-cop of trying to de-escalate that situation. Like he was just like, you need to stand down right now.
You better holster that weapon. I just don't understand. I hope to God she was taken off the force after that. We're actually not told what happened with that.
We don't know.
It makes me so mad. Like the whole point is like, once again, cop thing, like cops are human. They're going to be scared and they're going to have moments where, and they're supposed to have trained in order to overcome those kind of things. Right. And the way that we train our military too, and we train all these people like to suppress natural instincts. But the point is cops are trained. Civilians are not. Civilians are not trained on what to do if they have a gun pointed at them. They're not trained what to do if they're having barked orders when they're in a point of stress and they might be freaking out, all those different kinds of things. And it's cops like Ana Lucia. I understand it's fiction, guys. I understand it's fiction, but it is also a fucking reality that this is what happens. And it gets me so fired up. Again, I understand that I am also watching this for the first time in 2021. And maybe myself as a white person in the middle class who was in high school in 2005 when this aired wouldn't have had this reaction. But like the fact is like 16 years later, this is worth
it's our
the
reality.
Conversation have, you know?
Yeah, it's the reality that we're currently in. I do think that it, like I said before, kind of gives us a lot more context into like Ana Lucia's motivations. We see that Ana Lucia is a very flawed character, which makes her interesting because the way that she was presented to us at the beginning seemed like she had her shit together and that she was like, I
never really felt like she did. I felt like that was a facade.
I got that idea back when she was kind of this de facto leader for this entire group of people and people like went to her for her ideas and like her leadership capabilities. And it's just so funny to see that we prop up really shitty people into leadership positions that really shouldn't be up there.
Which is the best because I guarantee if Gen Z watched this for the first time, they would be like completely, I think they'd have similar sentiments as me, which is like watching this show in 2021, you instantly distrust the leadership. I instantly had issues with Jack and Locke the moment they started, like maybe not so much Locke. I know that I've been much more of a Locke sympathizer. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way he goes about things. But I've called him the fuck out like a few episodes when he went on his own little power trip and such. But I think that like people are more in 2021, more questioning of leaders. And so I think that watching it new with that positionality is, I think, a little bit more interesting versus the Gen Xers and millennials who were watching the show when it first came out. It was a little different of a world, right? We had to trust our leaders. There was a terrorist attack a few years before. We were in a country at war. This is the beginning of how divisive our country has become. But at that time, there was a sense of patriotism that led to faith in leadership, even if, and that's literally, it was blind faith in people.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what we see here. A lot of people put a lot of blind faith in people like Locke or people like Jack, people like Ana Lucia. And so it is interesting to see these characters painted in a different light. What do you feel for the flashback portion of it? What do you think's going to happen? Like in her backstory, if we even get any backstory.
Well, first of all, I think that what you're going to see is a falling out, if they're even more so, if I sense there was one between her mother and her, and I think that it's going to be over. I could see her mother getting fired for putting her back out in the field.
Which was a bad decision by her mother to do.
Like, she caved so quickly. Like, what a horrible captain. Like, like, forget the fact that is your daughter. Like, that was inherently a bad parent and boss move to do. Also, who in their right mind makes a child report to their parent in a professional setting?
And who allows someone to come back onto the force after 4 months of therapy from a traumatic ass event that happened in their life? Like,
also, the fact that the counselor says, "Do you think you're ready?" And she doesn't answer it. And he's like, "That's good enough for me."
He's like, "You got it, girl."
Like, what?
Yeah.
Also, why does he have her badge?
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
There's so many things, but it's just like there's so many red flags about this, right?
Yeah.
But I truly think that the other thing that kind of going back to my theory, I think that I just want to take a second to talk about that isn't so much about the flashbacks, but it's that moment where she frees Saeed and she gives him the gun and said, and basically wants him to shoot her. Yeah. And he says, "What would be the point in shooting you when we're both already dead?" Because they both feel dead inside, right?
Yeah.
And that to me strengthens my argument even more. Like, these are people who don't know how to operate in their lives because they feel like they are either stuck or dead or there's nothing worth that kind of thing. And I think it's through having to survive on this island that they face the things that they have struggled with, and they either succumb to them or they don't.
Yeah. No, that's a good theory.
So that's my theory. But anyway, so yeah, I think with her and her background, I think we're going to find issues with her mom, potentially either getting fired or she's going to have to be moved from her mother's. I think she gets removed from the police force altogether. Like, that's something they can't have her on the force anymore. And I don't like, the question then becomes like, why was she in Australia? Like, was she fired and then just decided to take a vacation? Did she follow her ex-partner there, was trying to rekindle something? I don't know.
Yeah, especially because we get like, unlike other, I guess they do this pretty often, but in this flashback, we seem to get a beginning, middle, and end where she finally kills Jason, or the man who shot her 4 months prior. And so it's pretty vicious how that man is murdered. It is, and it
makes no sense either. It makes no sense. They were like, "We have a list of crimes and his fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. Is this the guy?" And she's like, "No." And they're like, "Well, we're going to have to release him." I'm like, why? You have a list of crimes that he is connected to through his fingerprints and other evidence. That makes no sense. You would not need her to ID him. You would only need her to ID if you were going after that particular crime and had no other freaking evidence. Like, what?
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
They really should have just gotten some of the writers from CSI at this time to help them out with like, how do we do something crime related?
Yeah, how do we do like a police procedural?
But so bad.
Like, actually, like police led. Like, it's like, it's weird. But let's talk about some of the present day stuff that happens. So there's a lot to unpack here, from how we see Libby and Bernard react around Ana Lucia, and same with Echo, to the threesome that happens in the hatch, to like just Ana Lucia and Saeed's dynamics. Like, there's a lot to talk about here. So what do you want to talk about first?
I actually think it makes sense to talk about dynamics between people rather than like what happened.
Yeah, we can do that.
So I think I'd like to jump right in with Saeed and Ana Lucia.
Okay.
So we start off where Saeed is trying to attack Ana Lucia. Echo gets in the way. He almost kills Echo. She knocks Saeed out. She makes them tie him up so that he can't be violent. And then she holds the gun and she starts threatening everybody. And it's a wonderful game of like emotional cat and mouse because you have an ex-cop, albeit a very fucking bad cop, who's had trauma. I'm not going to sit back and sit here and like pretend like she was a bad cop only. Like obviously her trauma made her a bad cop too, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to take away her trauma. That trauma is legitimate.
Yeah.
But you have someone who has been trained in these kind of situations. And then you also have someone who's been trained in torture and reading people and all the kind of stuff, having a conversation. And it's really interesting to me that, you know, she's essentially doing to him to a certain extent that what's his face Nathan did when she threw him in the pit.
Yeah.
But she's kind of met her match with Saeed.
Yeah, because Libby kind of mentions that. She's like, ever since you put Nathan in that pit, I knew that there was something off. Like I knew there was some sort of character flaw with you that like is now presenting itself.
Yeah. And it's just like she always wants to imprison people who have done something bad, but it's like, girl, you're the one who did something bad in this situation, but you can't figure out what's the best way to resolve it for yourself. So instead, you're gonna like take it out on other people.
Yeah, it's wild.
It just was so uncomfortable. So this relationship between the two of them really doesn't manifest until the very end when everybody else leaves, that she gives them the permission to go. And then we get these moments with her and Saeed. And I already kind of talked about like my theory with them, but I definitely do think that there's this Saeed is clearly not going to kill her now.
Yeah.
And I think he knows it's because it's more torture for her to be alive than to be dead. Like he knows that she's struggling with a lot of demons. Otherwise, she would have just shot him. If she didn't care, she would have just shot him. But she clearly cares. And she also doesn't want to kill herself. She doesn't want to take that. She wants somebody else to do it, make it easy for her.
Yeah, because she was willing to like live alone in the jungle. Like that, she was willing to go to that level of extreme. She was going to Danielle Rousseau this and just live in the jungle all by themselves.
I can't wait. I really hope Rousseau and Ana Lucia meet each other. And it'd be a very interesting episode.
Yeah. Speaking of Rousseau, I'm curious, like, if she ever shows up in season 2, or is that the last that we'll see of Rousseau, or what? Because they really just like, after the season finale, we just really haven't seen anything of Rousseau. And
part of that is because she did kidnap a child. So she doesn't really have permission to come hang out with them.
That's very true.
But what's worse, kidnapping and nothing bad happening, or fully murdering one of the other people? I don't know. I mean, I'm not pretending like kidnapping a baby with the hopes of like giving that baby to the others.
We also get this amazing moment, and I don't know if you recognize this moment. It was probably the best part of the episode, but Shannon's confirmed dead.
It was pretty great.
Yes.
I also love that they've clearly used a dummy for her because it was so fake looking when Saeed picks her up. I was like, oh, they didn't even pay her.
That was her. That was her.
No way.
Yes, it was. It was actually her and Maggie Grace.
There were moments that were her, but when they pick her up and she's being carried, that is a doll, honey. That is not her same size.
I'm looking this up. Saeed picking up Shannon.
That was fake looking as hell. If it was her, they did a really shit job because she looked so fake.
Okay.
I'm sure that when she was laying on the ground, that was her.
I think that's her.
When they pick her up, it looks like a pile of plastic.
That's definitely her. Maybe.
I don't think so.
It's either it is her, or that is the most intricate looking mannequin I've ever seen that has back muscles. Because her shirt comes up and you can see back muscles like
at the
as he's
end of the
carrying her.
episode.
Yeah, as he's carrying her, you can see her back, and like there's full on musculature like on her back.
Who has musculature on their back?
Look. Oh, I can't
share the screen, honey.
All right, we're sharing this. This is a first for Hot Mess Moments. I have to see if how do I? Okay, open up link. Okay, so this is what we see. How do I share my screen?
So go to share and then change the view so that it has one of the share screen, like add it to the stream.
All right. So you see her back and she's got like muscles in her back. That's Shannon. That's
the beginning of the episode.
Is it? Okay, let me see if I can find another one.
There's one where he goes to pick her up and it literally looks like a mannequin just went like this. It was so unnatural.
Let me see.
And maybe it had to do with like the quality on my end because we watched it together or whatever. So I'm not seeing it in 1080p, but like, I don't know. It looks so fake.
Yeah, this is definitely her. Because look, this is what, I mean, she does look very mannequin-like, but I think it's just because they told her to be rigid. That's definitely her.
That is a doll to me right there. That's exactly what I was talking about.
That's like fully her full head of hair though. That'd be like the most intricate mannequin ever.
Mannequins are very intricate. They have been for many, many years. That does not look natural to me.
Vote
in the chat.
Yeah,
if you're
vote
watching
in the chat.
The video.
Vote in the comments.
Sorry if you're on audio. But if you're on the YouTube video, you have to come and vote. Do you think this is a mannequin or this is Maggie Grace, the actress?
It would be wild. Okay, so we see that.
I'm not gonna lie, I am envious of that mannequin. I want to be held by a Saeed like that.
Yeah, same. Oh my god. So Saeed does take Shannon away to the base camp, and Jack like finally sees that Shannon is officially dead. But I'm curious what your thoughts are. We could get a little bit more of character development for Bernard and Libby here. A little bit for like Jin and Michael as well. But I mean, we've already got a lot of development, but we really see that Libby is fucking scared and is not going to stand up to people. Like she's courage is something that Libby is lacking in. And Bernard does eventually stand up to Ana Lucia and is like, I need to fucking find my wife. Deuces. Like he just like,
I was convinced. I said it. I unmuted and I told Dylan, and I meant it with my whole heart. If she shot Bernard before he gets reunited with Rose, I was done with the show. Like, we're done with the show. Podcast over. We're just a nanny recap from here on out, where we don't have to deal with that kind of bullshit. Done. So now that they've met, I don't care. One of them can die. That's fine. I just wanted that reunion so bad, and I'm so happy we got it.
Thoughts on the reunion?
It was so worth it. It was so sweet.
Yeah. I was like starting to tear up a little bit. I was like, oh my God, we finally get this moment.
Let's also talk about a reunion moment very quickly, right? Sun and Jin.
Yeah.
Sun knows Jin is on the island. She knows he's coming, and yet she's just like, I'm just going to continue to do laundry. What? That makes no sense for her. Sometimes I really think the Lost writers don't know what they're writing about with their characters. Because moment she helps Michael, she should have been like, oh my God, Jin. Where's Jin? I'm heading to him.
Yeah, it was very strange. I think they just wanted that moment of her being like, slow motion. Oh my God, Jin. And then she runs and they
still could have had that if she had gone off into the jungle and they see each other before he gets back to camp or something. Like,
I think
there's ways they could have done that. I think it would have been better because I think this made it seem like she's not as in love with him as we know she is. Like, that's been the whole issue, is that she hid the jar of messages because she couldn't handle it. Like, she needed to suppress it somehow. Yeah. You're telling me she finds out Jin is okay and she needs to help Michael, and she does. And then she's just like, well, I guess it's back to laundry. Like, what?
Like, gotta dry the laundry. Like, okay,
I
girl.
don't care. I didn't care for that. It was nice to see them reunited, but I was like, the way they did it, I was like, that is so not what would have happened.
My favorite part of that ending was when Jin whipped it out and they fucked on the beach.
Right there. But the best part about that is like Hurley is still so excited and he goes in for the hug while they're fucking. It was so funny.
Yeah. He's like, I love you both so much.
He's like, I missed you, Jen. And he's like, oh man, I still don't know what you're saying. But you go get it, bro.
So let's also discuss this like weird tangent of like Jack and Kate playing golf, but not at the golf course. There's like, it's like
that. I thought that was the golf course.
I don't think it was. I think
it looked like the same area because it had like the hills in the background.
I don't think it was the same golf course because the ball was able to reach the beach, and that golf course was like up in the valley, like it was up.
But it didn't reach the beach. No, she was on the beach when the ball hits the beach. She was on the beach just hitting the balls. Then they go to the course, and he hits it into the woods, and then they go into the woods.
I thought it was Hurley and I guess
Hurley,
you're right.
Charlie, and Kate were on the beach, and she was trying to hit trees, and that's when he catches her and goes, "Let's go play golf," and then they go to the golf course. Yeah,
that makes sense. And then they see Echo.
Stupid of them. I will agree, though. Why is she hitting balls so quickly close to the ocean when you only have a finite amount of them?
Yeah. And then like, for her to be like, we have another ball. Like, I was like, no, you don't have another ball.
If you have that attitude, you were soon to have 0 balls.
Yes. Like, you need to go get the ball back.
Like many of the men on the island.
Ooh.
Oh, I went there. Oh, toxic masculinity trap, Beth.
So then Echo shows up with Sawyer. So there's like the side story of Sawyer suffering from his infection finally. What are you going to say?
This was the most sensual.
Oh, girl. It was hot. He was stripping Sawyer off in the shower.
Like, I know that Kate wasn't freaked out when Jack was trying to give her all the instructions. Go get this medicine, strip the bed, blah, 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 blah. Like she literally was caught with, oh my God, I'm so wet. Look at these 2 guys I'm in love with. They're just like, they're in the shower. And now they want me to strip the bed.
Imagine that she just like was like, do you have room for another? And he's like, bitch, I'm trying to fucking make him not die.
And she just starts rubbing her nipples like,
I'm so excited. And Jack's like, girl, what is your problem? I'm trying to save Sawyer's life. And she's like, I'm trying to get my life.
Listen, it's been a while. That was ridiculous. The way that I know what they were trying to do, they were trying to show that Kate has a way of getting Sawyer to do things, right? So part of it is that after the reason why they put him in the shower is to try to bring his temperature down. They're trying to put him in cold water because he's heating up because the infection's in his blood. So then they need him to take medicine before he goes into shock. And they put him into bed and with clean sheets and everything. And literally, like, Jack can't get him to swallow, which, like, by the way, how are you a doctor if you don't know other ways to get someone who is essentially comatose to swallow? Like, you have to rub their throat and such and activate their muscle. Like, I know that, and I'm in no way a medical professional, although I am a Dr. Mike.
I knew you were going to say it.
I didn't learn that from Dr. Mike.
Maybe you could teach Dr. Mike that. Dr. Mike, let me rub your throat.
Oh my God. I want you to know, Dr. Mike, I am in New York City. I would absolutely love to try rubbing your throat to see if that works. Better yet, if you think that's inappropriate, you can rub my throat.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
And then if I'm a bad girl, you can... No.
Then you can choke me. You're so stupid.
It's so funny. I get on these shows and I become like the horniest demisexual, asexual person.
Yeah. In the world. You're like, and then I wanted him to take me from behind and just blow my back out. You're like, oh.
And then like in real life, I'd be like, can we just like cuddle and watch a movie? That'd be great. But anyway, that scene with, it's just like all of a sudden, I could not stop laughing. I was dying laughing. And I was surprised that you weren't laughing that hard. It was just so funny.
I was turned on.
You just have this moment where like she is gripping his head in like she has his hair and she's like cradling him up against her breast. And she's literally like not near his ear, but also supposed to be. And she's going, swallow.
Swallow.
Come on, I know you can do it. It's
Sawyer,
me,
swallow. Sawyer, I know you're really good at it. You can swallow. Just swallow.
Sawyer, you're home.
Oh my God, I hate
That's exactly what it was like. And I was dying. I thought it was so funny.
It was creepy,
it took me
is
completely
what it was.
out of. She's like, Sawyer.
I hate this.
Sawyer, I think you can do it.
I hate this. Can you please stop? Oh my God. Ew. So yes, that's basically what happens. But
and then Jack is sitting there jacking it in the corner. He's just like, yeah. What else does he want? Do you want him to do?
What do you want him to do?
What do you want him to do?
And then we see that Echo finally gets to see the hatch, and he looks longingly at the swan logo because he knows that logo is also the same for the other hatch /
But it's not storage. A swan.
Yeah, it's not a swan. So he's like, interesting.
He also, I think Echo is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters on the show, which I know I'm supposed to like him, so I get it. But it's little things. I like that he's calculating and he does the right thing, right? So he sits back and realizes if I give them information, they're going to charge in and shoot people, and that's not what I want.
Yeah.
I like that he stands up to Ana Lucia and is like, hey, I got to take him back. It's the right thing to do, and I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for anybody else. You need to back the fuck off. And she's just like, whoa, okay. What's she going to do? Shoot Echo? I think not. So, which by the way, you had subtitles on in this episode. His name is spelled EKO.
Yeah, Echo.
I was thinking ECHO, like Echo.
Oh, yeah, Echo.
Okay.
Mr. Echo.
Echo.
We need that's the one benefit of
subtitles.
Yeah, well, that's the benefit of subtitles, and also benefit of we're now starting to watch this, for those who don't know, on Hulu. Because I got a new computer, and apparently I forgot my new computer doesn't have a CD drive. So we actually can't watch my box set DVDs anymore together. So instead we are watching the Hulu versions. Thankfully, all of the special features on the DVDs that I want us to eventually watch and react to are on YouTube. So you can watch a majority of them online. So I
just thought of a really convoluted way for us to watch these together would be to go on PlayStation and have you share play while we watch a DVD.
That would be a lot.
It would be the worst quality.
Yeah, also we're already getting them in nice quality on Hulu. They're already way better quality than my DVD set, which is in standard
definition. Noticed a difference on my end, but
there's not much.
Yeah, there's not much. But I also think part of it is because I'm on the receiving end, so it's not going to be as nice for me as it is for you. Which, I don't care. I'm getting the gist. It's mid 2000s. I understand. I'm seeing things. It's fine.
Yeah, it's less grainy. That is they don't. I think what happened is I could be wrong about this, but I think Hulu has the Blu-ray version, and I have the standard definition DVD set, because I think that they did go through and they HDified. It's going to be crazy.
So you have the soft dick version, but they have the hard dick version.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting once we get to the 5th and 6th season, when they have much better cameras and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not engaging with that. Beth, nice try. It's going to be cool to see how much it advances, because there's so many years in between. So that was basically Collision. Who's your MVP? Who's your LVP?
My MVP, we'll start out. LVP is 100% undoubtedly Ana Lucia. There's no way it can be anybody else. There's just could you imagine if I was I'm going to go with
Libby.
I'm going to go Libby.
Fuck Libby.
My MVP for sure, though, is Echo. Echo is the one. If he hadn't left Ana Lucia there, Libby and Bernard wouldn't have followed, which meant Mike and Jin wouldn't have followed, which meant, there would have been all these different things, right? That was exactly what needed to happen in order to de-escalate the situation. He also delivers Sawyer so that Sawyer can get the help he needs. He also it finally de-escalates the situation with Jack with Locke's help. But I think that Locke and Echo are going to have a really interesting they seem relationship. I think they kind of understand each other. They're two people of faith. So
So maybe Locke has found his sidekick, much like how, Because I think Locke wanted Charlie to be a sidekick, and he's quickly realizing that's not the case. And then he wanted
because Charlie's not a faith-based person.
Yeah, and then he wanted Boone to be a sidekick, and we see how that ended out.
Rip.
So, R.I.P. girl.
I do think that I kind of something that Tyler asked me to do, and I kind of want to do that is he said I want you to kind of say what you think some of the new pairings might be or like what the relationships might look like. So we end this episode seeing Ana Lucia and Jack look at each other almost like a collision.
Oh, it's like the name of the episode.
Oh my God.
Like the collision of the tail section and the main survivor party.
A collision of people of faith and of fates, not faith.
Ooh.
Oh shit. But anyway, I think that you're going to see that Jack and Ana Lucia clearly have some kind of understanding, right?
I think they remember each other.
They remember each other, but there's also some kind of like blanket level understanding and trust that they had from the moment they met at the bar. So I feel like there's going to be things that he makes allowances for, which is going to seemingly be out of character that like Kate will like call him out on. And I think that that's going to draw Kate and Jack farther apart. Kate will then gravitate towards Sawyer, who will get better. I have a hard time believing they just kill off Sawyer. Like, I have a hard time believing that. Like, why not just kill him off, like, in this episode? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if he doesn't die in the next episode, I don't think he's dying.
Okay.
So I feel like Kate and Sawyer are going to be together, which gives Kate more of this, like, oh, thank God I have, like, a closed circle with him now. Oh, wow, wonderful.
Pussy. Yeah.
I think that Echo and Locke are clearly going to be together. As like a duo. They're going to, oh my God.
Could you imagine? I want to Locke getting just fucking pounded, going to Pound Town or getting pounded by Echo.
That would make me a person of faith. Because I'd be screaming, oh my God.
In the armory. Like, oh my God, this is happening. Please, I wish that this show had more gay stuff.
I think that I think it'll be interesting to see. I think Libby and Sun are going to create a good relationship. I think that there's a level of introspection, but like they're not afraid to say something, but they're not the leaders in inserting themselves. Like they insert themselves when they really need to try to be a voice of reason, but they're not listened to a lot. So I feel like Sun and Libby kind of identify in that way. Yeah. I think that Bernard and Rose.
I was gonna make a joke. I was like, I have a really good one.
Bernard you're like, and Rose. You're like, I think that Bernard and Locke are gonna. I think that Bernard and Rose, we've started to see a little bit more of Rose because we knew that Bernard was going to come, but I don't think they end up playing a huge role. And I think they kind of go back into just being like, oh, it's that couple until they need to like bring them out for something.
Yeah.
I like that Rose's role has really been like a voice of reality and reason of like, it's good to see you out of the hatch today. Like stuff like that. I'm like, whatever. But I don't see them playing a huge impact on the plots or like the character development of anybody else. I also see Echo and Saeed getting along really well. It's almost like Echo has consistently started off negatively with people that he becomes closest with.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I see there being some help there. I also think that Saeed is an interesting character because there's a lot of faith with him, but he's also very practical. He's a good blend of the faith and the true, like faith and fact. And I think that Echo was more faith oriented, but knows things about this island that many people probably don't either. So I really see him being able to gel well with Saeed because of that, regardless of the fact that they tried to kill each other in the first moments. Actually, I don't think Echo tried to kill Saeed. I think he was just trying to subdue him.
Yeah, he was just like defending. Cool. So the next episode is called, well, I'm not going to name the name of the episode.
I already saw this next episode because it was in the playing next on
so what Kate did.
What Kate did. So I'm going to be like, so it's a Locke-centered episode. I was kidding. Yeah. So obviously it's a Kate-centered episode. And I feel like this is going to talk a little bit more about the relationship of the guy that got killed. Like that's what I think is going to happen. And then it's going to relate to how she's trying to make it up with taking care of Sawyer. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Okay. Do you want, I'll just say, do you want like a slight hint and just run with it? Like just theorize, kind of like how we do with, it's not going to make any sense. And I just want to see where you go with it.
Okay.
Black horse. What do you think that means?
It just made me immediately think of Jocelyn Fox saying, I plan on being the black horse of the competition. They're like, do you mean dark horse? And she's like, oh yeah, it is dark horse.
That's actually Jocelyn Fox is in this. Her
a full 10 years before she was on Drag Race. Oh God, that's so funny.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I was laughing. Because anytime I see black horse, I just think of that quote.
We'll do, if you want, that could be your thing. Like just ruminate on that black horse.
Black horse. I kind of feel like a black horse shows up.
Love that. Love that very in-depth, intricate theory and analysis of
that's where my mental capacity is right now. I don't know.
I think a black horse shows up. I'm just saying. Well, this has been amazing. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Hot Mess Moments.
And
if you are new
here,
here, oh yes,
I want to quickly shout out to Allison Kelly and Tyler Lyons, who are my co-hosts my co-hosts for My Weekly Meltdown, who for my birthday got me these wonderful coasters of all the different podcasts I'm on, including My Weekly Meltdown. That's Tyler, Allison, and me.
Yeah.
If you're on the video, they made one for RHAP because I do my Drag Race and Dragula coverage there. But then they made one for Hot Mess Moments.
Look how beautiful that coaster is.
It's so nice. And then they also made one of Fran and Mr. Sheffield.
Again, that is a coaster I would love to sit on.
You can't come over.
You can't come over anymore.
No. What if I was like, these are my parents?
You're like, I see the resemblance. You're very British.
Well, I am actually.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You're very British.
I look nothing like. I guess you could kind of see, like, depending on the mother, I look nothing like Fran, but I could potally look like Charles,
maybe just like
depending on who the
like
mother
was. Cousin removed, maybe.
You're like 7th time removed cousin.
Yeah,
you're not blood related at all.
If anyone is new here, though, please consider following Hot Mess Moments on Twitter. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us out tremendously. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you want the video version. Leave us a like on our video and leave a lovely comment. We read all the comments. And we'll be back here next week with some Lost coverage of season 2, episode 9, What Kate Did. If you want to check out Lost, you can watch it on Hulu, or you can buy the episodes online or in DVD form. Yeah. So this was
make sure to follow us as well. So follow Dylan at 8-Bit Dylan on all of his social media, including his Twitch channel, and watch me at Augusta Wind 11 on all my social media and Twitch as well.
Yeah. And if you have no, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say if you have viewer suggestions, you could email us, but I don't think we're ready for that because I don't want any spoilers. So just follow us on Hot Mess Moments. So,
but if you have spoilers or you wanted to discuss about Lost, hit up Dylan. If you have spoilers you want to talk about the nanny, hit up me.
Totally. But we will be back next week. And until then, bye.
Bye. Dap.